illallah. Lord of both the earth and sky, who knows all the answers to where, what and why, there is only one God. La ilaha illallah. I've seen the perfection of all creation in every creature and leaf, and I don't understand any woman or man who denies the one true belief. There is only one God. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome again to the best of stories from the Qur'an. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the last episode we talked about the two types of tests that we as human beings go through, and jinn, human beings and jinn, the race of Satan, we go through in this world. The test that has to do with the qadr, things that Allah ordained upon us. And we ended up with the second test, which is al-ibtila'u al-shar'i, the test in the area of the implementation of La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, brothers and sisters in Islam, is the word of tawheed, the word of ikhlas, sincerity, the word that by saying it, you express the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in words. By implementing it, you express the oneness of Allah in action, which is sincerity. And by saying it, you become a Muslim, if you're not a Muslim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah is so precious. Because of it, Allah created the heavens and the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. Indeed, we have not created the heavens and the earth but for that truth, which is La ilaha illallah. Brothers and sisters in Islam, because of La ilaha illallah, Allah revealed the books. Allah sent the messengers to their people. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ مِن رَّسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونِ. We have not sent a messenger before you, O Muhammad, but we revealed to him to worship Allah alone. Brothers and sisters in Islam, because of La ilaha illallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Jannah as a reward for those who say it, act upon it, implement it in their lives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the hellfire as a punishment for those who deny it, those who refuse to say it, or those who say it and they do not act upon it for a period of time. But the least that La ilaha illallah will do for you, brothers and sisters in Islam, if you're saying it, it will take you out of the hellfire one day. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان آخر كلامه من الدنيا لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة يوما من الدهر وإن أصابه قبل ذلك ما أصابه. Whoever says La ilaha illallah, whoever whose last words is La ilaha illallah, he will enter Jannah one day. One day, even if he has to go to the hellfire for a while. Brothers and sisters in Islam, implementing La ilaha illallah is a task, very difficult. Why? Because you have a freedom to choose. And subhanallah, this is how you understand this verse. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. Indeed, we have offered al-amana. You know what is al-amana here? La ilaha illallah. Implementing La ilaha. Having the freedom to implement La ilaha illallah or not. To what? To samawat. Ya Allah. Samawat, the heavens. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, لَخَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The creation of the heavens and the earth is mightier, greater than the creation of the human. The heavens refused, the skies, the heavens refused, the earth refused, the mountain refused, the mountains refused. And they said, oh Allah, no, create us, oh Allah, as Muslims to you, submitting to you unwillingly, unwillingly. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْجُدُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومُ وَالْجِبَالُ وَالشَّجَرُ وَالدَّوَابُ. Have you not seen that to Allah prostrate what's in the heavens, what's in the earth, the sun, the moon, the animals, the trees, the mountains? وَكَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. And a lot of people. Because people have the freedom to choose. So this is what makes this test so difficult. That, you see, if you do not pray, nobody's going to force you to pray. You go ahead. But we'll see you on the day of resurrection. Huh? We'll see you on the day of judgment. If you're not fasting, nobody's going to force you. Khalas. Don't expect an angel to come and rub your shoulder. Let's go, take me to the masjid. Like the kuffar, we need angels to come down to us. No, no. It's up to you. You have the freedom choice. But what makes the test also so difficult is the three enemies. Your three enemies. Do you know who are those three enemies? Who are after you? Who do not want you to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who do not want you to implement La ilaha illallah, to implement the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One, your nafs. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed inside us a soul that is ready to go to wickedness and to goodness. Successful indeed, the one who purifies his nafs and takes it to goodness. And a loser indeed is the one who's so weak, who just follows his nafs. Your nafs tells you, let's go get a drink tonight. Okay, my nafs, let's go get a drink. The nafs tells you, let's go and commit adultery tonight. And then the nafs tells you, go. And the nafs tuzayyin. In the nafs, by the way, in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in all of his sermons, he used to make this dua. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شُرُورِ أَنفُسِنَا. And we seek refuge with Allah from the evil that is inside us. The nafs. There is an evil inside you and inside me. And if you do not purify that nafs by implementing the guidance, you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought for you the guidance with which you can defeat your nafs. In nafs, by the way, brothers and sisters in Islam, was fashioned to like the quick passing. I tell you something, I want to ask you a question. If you're a father or a mother, have you ever beaten up or punished your child, your boy or girl, for not playing? Why don't you play? Why? No. Why did you play too much? No, normally. Why didn't you do your homework? Because the nafs what? The nafs likes the quick passing. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam even taught, subhanallah, us every day that we make this dua. وَلَا تَكِلْنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. Oh Allah, do not make my nafs, my soul to be in charge of me for the blink of an eye. In another wording, وَلَا أَقَلَّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ, not even less than that. So the first enemy, because a lot of the commands, it what? Conflicts with the nafs wants, with what you want. Tabillahi alayk, why don't you pray Fajr so far? Why? Because your nafs want to sleep. Your nafs wants to stay in bed. Fajr comes these days, some days it comes so early and you are in bed, sleep, and then the call, Allahu Akbar, and you're hearing the adhan, if you're in a Muslim country. Or you have already an alarm clock that you could set, but you don't want to leave the bed. Why? Why? Don't blame shaitan. Don't blame shaitan. Shaitan, by the way, works in what's in the nafs. It's your nafs, your own nafs. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the first enemy that you must defeat is your nafs in order to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah, here's the steps of how to do it. And they were mentioned in one surah made of 2 lines in the Qur'an. Surah Al-Asr. Wal-Asr, by the time. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Indeed, mankind in a state of loss. Except those who do what? Amanu. Step number 1, learn. If you want to defeat your nafs, if you want to wage war against your nafs, here's what you need to do. Knowledge. Knowledge of what? The knowledge of the deen. Who is your Lord? What is your deen? What do you say about the man who sent you? Learn your deen, akhi. Learn your deen. This is the time of fitna. Don't just take your deen from this person and this person and this person. Wake up. They're going to carry you on the shoulders, place you on the ground and leave you alone. And 2 angels are going to come and ask you those 3 questions. Who is your Lord? What do you know about Allah, billahi alayh? What do you know about Allah? What do you know about Islam? What do you know about the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? Learn it. Believe it. Call people to it. Believe it and implement it. Call people to it and be patient. If you do this, then you have waged basically war against your nafs. And inshallah, this is the beginning. Why I'm saying this? Because we're going to need this in the story of Satan. You know, Satan was commanded to do something by Allah. Who deceived Satan? Who got Satan in trouble? There was another Satan? No. The nafs, the soul of Satan. You see, the soul is the key. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, has a beautiful statement. He said, "An-nafs mithlu al-jabal." Your nafs is like a mountain that you're climbing. On the top of the mountain is shaitan. He's using the things that are within your nafs already. Shaitan, by the way, would want you to be basically bad in any manner possible. And he would use normally the things that you have in your nafs. So the first enemy, brothers and sisters in Islam, who stands against you and la ilaha illallah, against implementing the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is your own self. And the steps to defeat that enemy is to learn your deen, implement what you learned, call people to it, and be patient. 4 steps. 4 steps. Let's take a short break and come back and talk about the second and the third enemy that faces us and that trying so hard, these 3 enemies are trying so hard to get us to fail in the process of submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or in succeeding in the second test, which is implementing La ilaha illallah in our lives. Take a short break and we'll come back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
There is only one God, La ilaha illallah. Lord of both the earth and sky, who knows all the answers to where, what and why. There is only one God, La ilaha illallah. There is only one God, La ilaha illallah. Lord of both the earth and sky, who knows all the answers to where, what and why. There is only one God, La ilaha illallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the best of stories from the Qur'an. We are talking about the 3 enemies who are after you. And this will lead us to the third enemy, which is shaitan. Because we're going to go back to Adam and Satan and carry on with the story of our father Adam alayhi salam. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the best enemy, the second enemy, who comes between you and submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the shaitan from the ins. There are shayateen ins. يا معشر الجن والإنس وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي عدوا شياطين الإنس والجن. There are satans from ins. And I'm talking here about the people who you hang around with. And by the way, they can be your family. And I'm not trying to bring conflicts in the families here. No. But you see, if you do not work in your families, if you are a husband and you do not try to teach your wife Islam and your children Islam, they can become the reason for you to go to the hellfire, because they will turn to be enemies to you. And this is from the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدوا لكم فاحذروهم. Ya Allah, O ye who believe, some of your spouses and children are enemies to you. You know which ones? The ones who do not help you to submit, to implement what you were created for. Remember, you were created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your husband does not pray, he's an enemy. But again, I'm not asking you to go and fight him. No. Help him out to pray. If your wife does not pray, she is an enemy. Help her out to pray. Give her da'wah. Give him da'wah. Your son, your child. But don't you dare compromise this. Wallahi akhi, look, in the day of resurrection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you that يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. On the day of resurrection, a person will flee from his brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, his father and his mother. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, his wife and his children. They will be busy. Not only this, Ya Allah, your family members will be willing to ransom you. Can you imagine? They will be willing to basically give you up to be spared. Look, يُبَصَّرُونَهُمْ, you will see one another in the day of resurrection. يَوَدُّ الْمُجْرِمُ لَوْ يَفْتَدِي مِنْ عَذَابِ يَوْمِئِذٍ بِبَنِيهِ. On that day, a transgressor would love to ransom himself from the punishment of Allah using his own children, and on and on and on. So, I just want to let you know that that enemy from the ins can be from your family. And I call upon the brothers and sisters in Islam, try to reform, give da'wah at home, reform your families. This will help you to become better Muslims. Also, they can be friends in school, in college. In college, if you're hanging around someone who does not pray, is not good for you, too much fitna for you. Even if you're in love with him, Ya Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, الْأَخِلَّاءُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. الْأَخِلَّاء, those who loved one another dearly in this world. In the day of resurrection, they will be enemies to one another. Actually, وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا. The one who is not praying, the one who is transgressing in this world, he will bite in his hand saying, oh Allah, I wish I have listened. I wish I have submitted to Allah. I wish I was a Muslim. I wish I was implementing the commands of Allah. Ya waylat, look who's blaming. Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. Ah, wail to me. I wish I did not hang around this person. Why? What did he do to you? لَقَدْ أَضَلَّنِي عَنِ الذِّكْرِ بَعْدَ إِذْ جَاءَنِي. He misguided me. After I'm about to getting ready to pray and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be a good Muslim, he told me no. Ya Allah, there is a scene في Surah Al-Saffat, subhanallah. فَأَقْبَلَ, here it is, and this scene is in Jannah. In Jannah, you know, Allah told us about things that will happen in Jannah and hellfire. فَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. The people in Jannah will be talking to one another. One of them said, قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ. You know what? I used to have a friend in the dunya. Every time I talk to him about Allah, I talk to him about the salah, I talk to him about obeying Allah. I talk to him about that drinking is haram, adultery is haram, alcohol is haram, drugs is haram. Obey Allah, be a Muslim, wear your hijab, sisters. If I tell her this or I tell him that, يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين. Come on, man, this is fiction. Do you really believe in that stuff? What are you talking about? أَإِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَدِينُونَ. Do you really believe that after we die, we're going to be resurrected? And we're going to... No, come on, man. This is not going to happen. The person who's in Jannah will say, فَقَالَ هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ. I don't see him in Jannah with us. Can I please take a peek into the hellfire? فَاطَّلَعَ. He will look into the hellfire. Where did he see him? فَاطَّلَعَ فَرَآهُ فِي سَوَاءِ الْجَحِيمِ. He saw him in the middle of the hellfire. قَالَ تَاللَّهِ إِن كِدتَّ لَتُرْدِينَ. By Allah, I was almost about to listen to you and obey you. Be careful, brothers and sisters in Islam, from the second enemy, which is the enemy of ins. الْمَرْءُ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. You're going to be on the religion of the person that you're hanging around with. The hadith, يعني في سنده كلام, chain of narration is spoken upon, but the meaning is there. إياك, the Arabs used to say what? الصاحب ساحب. Your friend will drag you. He will drag you. So be careful. This is the second enemy that you want to fight and combat in order to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hang around the righteous. Hang around the pious. الشافعي says, أحب الصالحين ولست منهم لعلي أنال بهم شفاعة. I love the righteous, even so I'm not one of them. رحم الله الشافعي. Even so I'm not one of them. Because if you hang around the righteous, they will actually intercede for you in the day of resurrection. Hang around the righteous. Go to the masjid. Find your friends in the masjid. This is the second enemy that you must combat. The third enemy, this is the one that we are going to carry on talking about, and how his animosity erupted or started, and how the whole thing started, which is Shaytanul Jinn, Satan. Akhi, brothers, sisters in Islam, Satan hates you. Not for any reason, because of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Shaitan is an enemy to you. Deal with him as an enemy. As an enemy. Now, how did we become enemies to Shaitan? How Shaitan became the sworn enemy of the human race, of the human beings. This will take us to the story that we're still covering. And I know I'm focusing on the story of creation of the universe and the story of the creation of Adam alayhi salam and what happened at the very beginning. Because I tell you something, if you grasp, this is already, I believe, the 7th or the episode or the 8th episode. If you grasp, or the 9th episode, if you grasp the story of the beginning, you will grasp a lot of this deen. Now we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to be tested. Now, the first test actually will be on Satan, and he will flung that test. And that will lead him to become our enemy. And he will go after us, trying also hard for us not to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani Satan's mission is to make us fail. The fact that you're not praying, you're making Satan successful. The fact that you're drinking, Satan is successful. The fact that you're committing adultery, Satan is successful. The fact that you're not wearing your hijab, sisters, you're not implementing the deen, you're not behaving as a Muslim, Satan is successful. Satan is in a mission in order to destroy us. Because you know what? We're gonna learn the episodes to come that he's already decided to be a dweller of the hellfire for eternity. Inshallah, brothers and sisters in Islam, the next episode of the best of stories We're going to carry on now with the story of our father Adam alayhi salam, and we're going to talk about the prostration of the angels while Satan was there to Adam, and what happened, and the reason why Satan refused to prostrate to Adam. And we're going to carry on with the story bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, but we needed to throw that ground to give some introduction, the last 2 episodes, to give introduction basically to this before we go in there, because I really want you to grab and grasp what will happen the episodes to come. Till then, inshallah, next episode of the Best of Stories, I want to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you.
There is only one God, La ilaha illallah, Lord of all